What's up? I'm B and welcome to my channel. I hope you're having a great day today. Thank you for joining me for another video. This video is going to be a follow-up to a video that I made a few months ago regarding Bruxy Cavey and the meeting house and the allegations against them. So if you haven't watched that video, please do go back and watch it before you watch this one because that contains a lot of important backstory. And also in the same vein, I do just want to give a trigger warning for today's content. There will be talk of sexual abuse, sexual assault, clergy sexual abuse, imbalance of power, things regarding that. So if that's not content that you care to consume and you feel like it's best for you not to watch this video, please do exit now. As always, no hard feelings. Please put your own mental health first. As we discussed in my last video, Bruxy Cavey is a pastor, speaker, author, guest professor, and he worked at a church called the Meeting House for 25 years. In November of 2021, a woman who is still going by the name of Hagar, she's keeping her identity hidden for privacy reasons, but her pseudonym is Hagar. Hagar disclosed to another staff member at the Meeting House, Danielle Strickland, that she had entered into a counseling relationship, a pastoral counseling relationship with Bruxy about 10 years ago, and eventually it did turn sexual and it lasted for a number of years. Danielle helped Hagar report this to the church's board of overseers, and pretty quickly after, Bruxy was placed on a leave of absence while a third party conducted an independent investigation. In March of 2022, Bruxy was asked to resign as a result of the independent investigation, and he did comply. The investigation found that Bruxy abused his power and authority in a way that amounted to sexual harassment. Then on May 31st of this year, Bruxy was arrested and charged with sexual assault. Since then, it was announced that the Meeting House has received 38 additional allegations of sexual misconduct against a group of 4 former pastors. The names of all the pastors were not released, but one of the people who was being accused was their former senior pastor, Tim Day. At the time, we did also talk about how the church, the Meeting House, did retain a victim's advocate to help people who were coming forward with their stories of sexual abuse or sexual assault, and I thought that that was a really great thing. I was very happy to see that they took the allegation seriously and they brought somebody on who had the knowledge necessary to help people coming forward talking about horrible things that had happened to them, and who could provide them resources and who could help them determine, do you want to, push this forward legally? How would you like to proceed? And just helping people through that process. But something I was kind of frustrated by, and this was a common sentiment, especially shared by Danielle Strickland, who did resign in solidarity with Hagar, is that the church would not name what had happened to Hagar as clergy sexual abuse. They said that they were using the language from the report, from that third-party investigation. That's what the investigation said, and so that's how they were labeling it. And I had said, I don't know if that's just kind of an easy out for them or if legally they have to use that language. I'm not quite sure, but I think it is important to label it as clergy sexual abuse because it's, sexual abuse and sexual assault is horrible in every single situation. But when it's a pastor and a congregant, or if you're entering into a pastoral counseling relationship with somebody, that just adds another layer of complexity and trauma because it's somebody that you look up to and somebody who's supposed to be a spiritual leader. So, we use language in the way that we do for a reason, and I think it's important to label those things accurately. But again, I was like, I would like to see them label it this way, but I kind of understand if there's a reason they can't. However, I'm kind of curious to see if they really can't do it or if they're just trying to kind of downplay the severity of this thing. At the time, that was pretty much all we had, and I was just kind of waiting to see what would come both from the additional investigations as well as Bruxy's legal battle, what was going to happen. And on August 13th, the Meeting House did release another update. They have a video that they posted, and they also have a written update. They're very, very much the same. I'm just going to read to you the written update instead of showing you the video because, again, they basically say the same thing. And now throughout this, I'm not really going to give a ton of my opinion because this isn't something to have an opinion on other than this is a shame and it's terrible that it happened. how do we fix this? How do we move forward? How do we change the culture within our churches so that things like this don't happen anymore? People are human. People are flawed. There's always going to be the risk that you put somebody in a position of authority and they will let you down, or they will make a bad choice, or they will not have good intentions and they are explicitly there to do bad things. That's always a risk that you will have. But man, I just wish that we could change that. I wish that we could have a church culture where this doesn't happen. And I'm very frustrated and I'm very just upset because when you go to church, you're supposed to be able to trust the people there. You are supposed to say, these are people who love God and who want to follow Jesus and live like him. So these people are going to be people with good morals and good values, and they're going to treat people kindly and fairly and not hurt them. And that's not always the case. And it sucks. But enough of my soapbox. I'm getting sweaty because I'm so irritated. Let's just go ahead and read the update. And it starts with the investigation results. The post says, "Thank you for journeying alongside us this year. Today we have more hard news to share. Please note that the following content may be triggering to some. We have now received the results of the second and third investigations into allegations of sexual abuse and sexual misconduct brought against former senior pastors Bruxy Cavey and Tim Day, respectively. Please watch this video message from Bruce and Noor from our Board of Overseers for an update with the findings." Again, that's the video that basically says the same thing. Now, I am filming this on Sunday, so at this time, this hasn't happened yet. But they say our town hall is tomorrow, Sunday, August 14th, from 7 p.m. to 8:30 at the Meeting House, Oakville, and they give the address, the time, all of that. And they also say we will be reviewing the results of the investigations, talking about how we are responding as a church, and taking time to dialogue and respond to some of your questions. You can send questions to the email below. If you're unable to attend in person, we will be live streaming and gathering at the link below. So, obviously this hasn't happened yet, but I will tune in and I'll see what they say. And if there's anything in there that is different from what's in this written post, I will notate it and I'll bring it to you. And then they say, for more details, please keep reading. Understanding and defining sexual abuse by a church leader. With a learning and listening posture, and through the process of 2 additional investigations, the Meeting House has adopted the widely recognized definition of sexual abuse offered by the Mennonite Central Committee, the MCC, as found in their publication below. That definition is as follows. Sexual abuse by a church leader or caregiver refers to any sexualized behavior that occurs within the church context and where one party has more power than the other. The perpetrator can be anyone in a leadership position, either paid or volunteer. It could be a pastor, Christian counselor, youth leader, deacon, or Sunday school teacher. MCC additionally defines sexual abuse and sexualized behavior as follows. Sexual abuse or sexualized behavior includes any physical contact, bodily movement, or verbalization that uses sexual expression to control or intimidate the less powerful person in the relationship. The acts involved may be overt, involving actual physical contact of a sexualized nature, or covert, as in pornography, sexual innuendo, or inappropriate disclosures of a personal nature regarding sexual matters. The person victimized may be an adult or a child, female or male, and the same or of the opposite sex as the offender. Having clear definitions gives us a mutual understanding of terms and also creates accountability so we can apply and use terms appropriately. Update on the second and third investigations. We have now received the results of the second and third investigations into allegations of sexual abuse and sexual misconduct brought against former senior pastors Bruxy Cavey and Tim Day, respectively. These investigations were conducted by Natasha Prasad, an independent third-party investigator, to ensure that there was protection for the confidentiality of complainants and that the entire process was approached in an objective, trauma-informed, and timely manner. Here are the results for the second investigation into Bruxy Cavey. In this second investigation, 2 sets of claims of sexual abuse by a church leader, as defined above, have been substantiated. In the third, his actions have been found to be substantiated as sexual misconduct. In one case, the victim was underage when the abuse took place. The investigation into Tim Day was conducted separately. He chose not to participate in the investigation and was provided with multiple opportunities to do so. The victim's allegations against Tim Day were substantiated as sexual abuse by a church leader. In all cases, the victims have suffered great harm. We grieve deeply at the hurt caused to each of these individuals at our church. We also acknowledge the courage of those who stepped forward. We are grateful for their bravery and willingness to be vulnerable. As church leadership, we humbly and profoundly apologize to them for the pain they experienced at the hands of the Meeting House pastors whom they and we trusted. Then they go into an update on victim 1 and the first investigation, which of course is Hagar, who disclosed back in November of 2021. We wish to commend the first victim for coming forward and for opening the door for others to come forward. We know she has endured so much in this process. In March of this year, we shared the results of the first investigation, which used the language of an abuse of power and authority as a member of the clergy and sexual harassment. At the time, we hadn't adopted a definition for sexual abuse by a church leader, and we chose to use the exact language from the report. We were careful not to add our own interpretation to the findings, as we believed the language was strong enough to communicate the seriousness of the findings. We have learned so much over the last 9 months, and with this knowledge and the adoption of MCC's definition of sexual abuse, we have revisited the findings of the first investigations. We have now concluded as a board that the actions substantiated in the first investigation constitute sexual abuse by a church leader. We truly apologize to the first victim for the length of time this has taken. We've also learned how vital it is to have a safe, confidential, and responsive channel for individuals to bring forward their concerns or issues. We continue to be thankful for the pivotal role Melody Bissell has played as our victim advocate. Next steps. We invite you to process this news together with us as a church this Sunday. Details are above. We will share from our hearts and set aside time for answering questions as candidly as we can. We anticipate creating more spaces to pray and process together in community in the coming weeks and months. We ask you to continue to pray for healing for the victims and for their families who have also been impacted by this abuse. Pray for the Cavey family and for the Day family. Pray for our church family that God will use this season for his glory, honor, and praise. In the meantime, we want you to know that we are taking steps based on what we are learning. Melody Bissell will continue in her victim advocacy role for the foreseeable future. We are engaged with an expert who is helping us to tell our story, and we are strengthening board and staff policies and processes to improve accountability and transparency. Additionally, the senior leadership team is working towards creating a healthier staff and church culture as part of their mandate. We have more work to do here, including building a framework with standards of conduct, procedures, and policies that are collectively understood and applied. We appreciate your patience as we evaluate and undertake this critical work. They then go on to state that even though those investigations have been concluded, their victim advocacy program is still in effect, and they provide you with a way that you can contact Melody Bissell via phone, email, or an online referral form. And they state, we want to thank you for walking with us during this season of lament, listening, and learning. We value your questions, concerns, and input. As we continue to journey through this difficult time together, we are reminded of our purpose as a church and the promise of Jesus, that he is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. May you sense and know this truth as we pray and process together. So that's the update. Again, I am devastated to hear that the claims have been substantiated, because that means that a pastor did abuse their role and hurt somebody else, multiple other people. However, I am glad to hear that they are continuing to do these independent investigations and that they are taking allegations seriously. I think that in that respect, in that regard, the Meeting House is doing what they should do. They should not be brushing it under the rug or trying to hide things. I really value the transparency that they've given. And of course, maybe if you go to the Meeting House, you feel a little bit differently. Maybe it's different on the inside than it is on the outside. But to me, from everything they've put out, it seems that they are kind of trying to tackle this head on and learn the best way to not only address the past hurt, but to change policies and procedures to strengthen their community, to strengthen their leadership. And moving forward, they'll have these, like safeguards and accountability, whatever it looks like, whatever they end up putting in place to help prevent things like this from happening in the future. So I am grateful to see that. Again, they will be having that community gathering tonight, and I'll tune in and I'll take notes of anything that they say that is, additional information or different from what's in this written update. But I feel like it's probably going to be a lot of the same and just going over those same things and expressing how the leadership is feeling at this time. I don't necessarily think they'll reveal anything kind of like factually that adds to the case. It's just kind of a place where everybody can come together and just process through it together. But if there is anything that I feel is important to bring to you guys, I will definitely make another video about it. But even if there's not, I'm going to tune in. This is something that is very close to my heart, even though I don't go there and I'm not a member of the Meeting House. I think churches improving accountability and getting better and being safe places for people is really important. So I'm pretty invested in hearing what the outcome of all of this is and will continue to be. Feel free to let me know in the comments down below if you have any thoughts or opinions on how they're handling it. If there's anything that you want to add to the conversation, feel free to drop it in the comments. And while you're doing that, if you would consider liking this video or subscribing to my channel, that would be incredible. And if you're subscribed already, thank you so much. I am so appreciative of you, and I love being able to just sit here, hang out with you, and talk about whatever. Thank you so much for watching. Please be kind to people, and I will see you in the next one.